Canned foods have always been sold as the cheap, reliable backup for any American household. You stack them in the pantry, feel secure during storms or tight weeks, and tell yourself they'll stretch your budget when every dollar already feels tight. For seniors on fixed incomes or families juggling rent, medicine, and groceries, that little metal can look like a safety net. But what if that safety net is fraying? What if the very foods we trust to keep us full and secure are quietly pushing our blood pressure higher, stressing our kidneys, and sneaking chemicals we were never warned about into our bodies? Behind the bright labels and nostalgia, canned foods can hide BPA-lined interiors, dangerous sodium spikes, heavy metals that sit in your bones for decades, and bacteria that slip in when factory seals fail. For younger bodies, the risks might take years to show. For anyone over 50, already balancing prescriptions and chronic conditions, the price comes faster and harder. A $1 can from Dollar Tree might save you a few cents today, but cost you thousands in medical bills tomorrow. Today, we're pulling back the lid, literally and figuratively, on 7 canned foods you should avoid at all costs. And because not everything in the aisle is a trap, we'll end with 2 options that are surprisingly safe and worth keeping on your shelf. Your pantry could be either your strongest ally or your weakest link. Vienna sausages, picture this: a single can, small enough to fit in your palm, stacked high on dollar store shelves. For generations, Vienna sausages have been sold as comfort food, cheap, salty, and soft enough for anyone's teeth. Many seniors grew up with them. Many still grab them because a 6-pack runs under $5. But inside that pull-tab tin lies a cocktail that your body, especially past 50, simply can't afford. Start with the sodium. A single can pack 700 to over 1,000 milligrams. That's nearly 3/4 of the American Heart Association's recommended daily limit for people with high blood pressure. And who stops at half a can? Most of us pop the lid, grab some crackers, and finish the whole thing in minutes. For retirees on blood pressure medication, kidney pills, or diuretics, this is like flooding a cracked dam. Blood pressure surges, water retention builds, and the very meds meant to protect you suddenly have to fight harder. Then come the preservatives. Nitrites keep those pale pink links looking fresh, but they also form nitrosamines, chemicals so dangerous the World Health Organization officially labels processed meat a known carcinogen. Add phosphate additives, which quietly strain aging kidneys and arteries, and you've stacked one health hazard on top of another. And the risks don't stop at ingredients. Vienna sausages are a low-acid canned food, meaning they rely on high-heat sterilization and flawless sealing. When the seal slips, botulism sneaks in, odorless, tasteless, and often fatal. In 2020, a massive recall yanked more than 2 million pounds of canned meat, including Vienna sausages, from shelves because packaging defects made contamination possible. The can itself isn't innocent either. Most are lined with plastics that may leach BPA or its chemical cousins. Compounds regulators in Europe have nearly banned, while the US FDA still waves off. For anyone with hormone-sensitive cancers or diabetes, that uncertainty is more than a fine print detail. Vienna sausages might be cheap and nostalgic, but for older bodies, they're a time bomb in brine. Canned tuna. Few pantry items feel as safe as canned tuna. It's the backbone of budget-friendly lunches, tuna salad sandwiches for the kids, tuna melts at the diner, or a quick protein fix when the fridge is bare. But peel back that shiny lid, and the risks waiting inside go far beyond a little fishy smell. The first culprit is mercury. Light tuna, usually skipjack, carries a lower load. White albacore, nearly triple the amount. Over years, mercury accumulates in the brain and kidneys. For a healthy 20-something, that damage builds slowly. But for someone in their 60s managing high blood pressure, diabetes, or kidney disease, every can becomes another drip in a toxic bucket. Memory fog, tremors, and kidney strain often creep in without warning until it's too late. Then there's histamine, a chemical that doesn't vanish with cooking. If tuna warms on the dock before canning, its natural histidine turns toxic. Open the can, mix a sandwich, and within an hour you may be red-faced, itchy, or clutching your chest in what feels like a heart attack. Hospitals see these cases more than you'd think. Histamine poisoning is foodborne illness in disguise. Botulism is another silent predator. Though rare, one bad seal can turn a can into a lethal capsule. In 2020, major tuna brands at Costco and Trader Joe's were recalled because easy open lids raised the risk of contamination slipping past. No smell, no taste, just paralysis waiting to happen. Even when the fish itself is safe, the can lining may betray you. BPA-free doesn't mean harmless. Replacements like BPS or BPF can mimic hormones just as dangerously. Add in the hidden sodium, 200 milligrams or more per drain serving, and sneaky swaps like potassium chloride that destabilize blood chemistry for anyone on kidney or heart meds. And tuna becomes less comfort, more gamble. Yes, tuna offers protein and omega-3s, but between mercury, histamine, botulism, and chemical linings, the real question is whether that bargain can is worth the risk. Canned soup. Nothing feels more comforting than soup from a can. On a cold, rainy day, popping open chicken noodle or tomato soup seems like the easiest way to wrap yourself in warmth. But for older bodies, that comfort can be a wolf in sheep's clothing. Start with sodium, the hidden bomb in nearly every can. Half a cup of condensed tomato soup, about 480 milligrams, but no one eats half a cup. A typical bowl can top 1,000 milligrams in a single sitting. Chicken noodle, vegetable beef, and creamy mushroom varieties often climb even higher, pushing 600 to 900 milligrams per serving. For anyone on blood pressure meds or diuretics, that's like lighting a fuse under your cardiovascular system. And don't be fooled by the reduced sodium label. By law, it only means 25% less than the original. If the original had 900 milligrams, the reduced version still packs over 675. Only cans labeled at low sodium, 140 milligrams or less, or very low sodium, 35 milligrams or less, truly qualify. But even those can hide another trap, potassium chloride, marketed as potassium salt. Safe for young people, but for retirees with kidney disease or on ACE inhibitors, that healthy swap can tip potassium levels into heart-stopping territory. The can itself adds another layer of concern. For decades, soup cans were lined with BPA epoxy. Europe banned BPA outright in food packaging by 2024 after slashing the safe exposure limit to nearly zero. The US still insists it's fine. BPA-free linings often just swap in BPS or BPF, chemical cousins with the same hormone-disrupting risks. And don't forget botulism. Soups fall into the low-acid category, requiring perfect sterilization. One slip in processing, and spores survive. A bulging or spurting can isn't just waste, it's a hazard. What looks like a cozy, budget-friendly dinner can quietly undermine your heart, kidneys, and long-term health. That whoosh when the can opener breaks the seal might not be comfort, it might be a warning. Canned chili. For many families, canned chili is the quick dinner fix. Pop the lid, heat it up, and you've got a hearty meal of beans, meat, and spices without hours of simmering. But under that familiar smell of cumin and tomato hides one of the riskiest cans on the grocery shelf. The first and deadliest danger, botulism. Chili is a low-acid food, meaning it must be sterilized at extreme heat, 240 to 250 degrees under pressure, to kill spores of Clostridium botulinum. When factories miss the mark, the results can be catastrophic. In 2007, an underprocessed batch from a commercial chili plant triggered a nationwide recall and several hospitalizations. Victims had no warning. The toxin has no taste, no smell, no clue until paralysis sets in. Next comes sodium overload. A single cup of canned chili with beans hovers around 1,000 milligrams of salt. Eat the whole can and you've swallowed nearly half your safe daily limit in one sitting. The American Heart Association caps sodium at 1,500 milligrams for adults with blood pressure issues. That means one chili dinner leaves almost no room for anything else the rest of the day. Not bread, not soda, not even a snack. The reduced sodium versions aren't saviors either. Many quietly replace salt with potassium chloride. For healthy young people, no problem. But for seniors on ACE inhibitors, ARBs, or potassium-sparing diuretics, this swap can send potassium soaring. Hyperkalemia doesn't just show up on a lab test. It can trigger irregular heartbeats strong enough to send you to the ER. Then there are phosphate additives. They keep the meat springy and uniform, but load your body with highly absorbable phosphorus, the very compound nephrologists tell kidney patients to avoid. Over time, extra phosphorus stiffens arteries and weakens bones. Finally, the can lining. Acidic chili sauces corrode epoxy coatings faster, pulling BPA or its chemical cousins straight into your food. Europe banned it, the FDA still shrugs. One cheap, filling dinner can turn into a high-stakes gamble stacked against your heart, kidneys, and nerves. Canned fruit and syrup. On the surface, canned fruit feels wholesome. Bright peaches, pears, or fruit cocktail glistening in syrup look like a sweet, innocent treat. Many parents and grandparents buy them thinking they're offering something healthy to kids or grandkids. But that glossy syrup hides a sugar bomb your body may not be able to afford. 1 cup of fruit cocktail in heavy syrup carries more than 40 grams of sugar. That's 11 teaspoons, dumped straight into your bloodstream before dinner even begins. Even light syrup is still just sugar water, defined by USDA rules on concentration, not nutrition. For seniors over 50, those spikes wreak havoc. Unstable blood sugar, higher blood pressure, and long-term damage to heart health. An American Heart Association study found that adults getting 17 to 21% of calories from added sugar had nearly a 40% higher risk of death from heart disease. Push that percentage higher, and the risk almost triples. And sugar isn't the only problem. Some canned cherries used in fruit cocktails carried FD&C red number 3, a dye the FDA finally banned in foods by 2027 after cancer concerns. Meanwhile, recalls have exposed other dangers: unsafe levels of lead and cadmium in canned pears, glass shards found in fruit cocktail. Not everyday risks, but proof that safe cans can fail spectacularly. Then comes the packaging. Many fruit cans still use epoxy linings with BPA or its chemical cousins. Europe banned BPA outright in 2024, but in the US it lingers. BPA-free labels? They often just mean BPS or BPF, which raise the same hormone-mimicking alarms. The fix is simple: drain and rinse canned fruit, or better yet, buy versions packed in water or natural juice. Even better, reach for frozen fruit. No syrup, no BPA, no hidden surprises. That bright, syrupy smile on the label, it's dessert in disguise. Candidied spinach. If there's one canned food that feels like it should be healthy, it's spinach. Popeye made it famous as a superfood in a can. But crack one open today, and you won't find leafy green strength. You'll find a soggy lump swimming in brine, carrying risks that pile up with every bite. Spinach is notorious for pulling heavy metals out of soil, especially cadmium. Once it's inside the plant, it stays, even after canning. Over time, cadmium builds in kidneys and bones, stressing two systems already vulnerable in older adults. Europe sets strict weekly limits to protect kidney health. The World Health Organization adds monthly caps. That's how seriously regulators treat even trace levels. Now add the sodium hit. A cup of canned spinach can deliver more than 700 milligrams. Even no-salt added versions may contain 200 milligrams naturally. For retirees managing blood pressure, that's one side dish eating up nearly half the daily allowance. And the reduced sodium varieties? Many replace salt with potassium chloride, which is a ticking time bomb for anyone on ACE inhibitors or with chronic kidney disease. Spinach naturally carries oxalates, tiny crystals that can trigger kidney stones. Doctors list spinach among the highest oxalate foods, and canning doesn't remove the risk. Layer on vitamin K, which interferes with warfarin and other blood thinners, and even a small serving becomes a balancing act that older bodies can't always manage. And don't forget the can itself. Low-acid greens like spinach fall squarely in botulism territory if processing slips. A bulging or spurting can isn't just waste, it's Russian roulette. Add BPA or its chemical cousins leaching from can linings, and the healthy label feels like a cruel joke. Spinach deserves its superfood title, but only fresh or frozen. In a can, it's a compromise with hidden costs. Canned pasta. Canned pasta looks harmless. Ravioli, spaghetti hoops, or beefy macaroni swimming in red sauce. For many, it's comfort food from childhood. But beneath that nostalgia lies a dangerous mix. A single cup can deliver 740 to 200 milligrams of sodium, half or more of a day's safe limit for anyone over 50. Add sugar and corn syrup to balance the sauce. phosphate additives that strain kidneys and bones, and nitrite-laced meat filling labeled a known carcinogen. The risk climbs fast. Then comes the can itself. Acidic tomato sauce corrodes epoxy linings, leaching BPA or its chemical cousins straight into the food. Europe banned BPA in 2024. The US FDA still calls it safe. That warm, cheap meal may promise comfort, but for seniors balancing meds and chronic conditions, canned pasta is less dinner and more health trap. 7 cans, 7 warnings. By now, the story is painfully clear. What looks cheap and convenient often hides sodium bombs, chemical linings, and silent threats like botulism. But don't panic. This isn't a call to clear out your pantry completely. Not every can is a trap. Some actually deliver nutrition, safety, and value, especially for households on tight budgets. These are the rare shelf-stable staples worth keeping close. Let's shift gears and look at 2 canned foods that truly earn their place in your kitchen. Safe choice number 1, canned beans. After 7 traps in a row, here's some relief. Canned beans, pinto, black, kidney, garbanzo. These are one of the rare canned foods that can actually support your health, not sabotage it. For seniors on a budget, beans are a powerhouse. Half a cup delivers 7 to 9 grams of protein, 6 to 9 grams of fiber, plus potassium, iron, and folate. Doctors emphasize these nutrients because older adults often fall short, leading to fatigue, poor digestion, and higher cholesterol. Swapping beans for beef even once or twice a week can cut cholesterol, steady blood sugar, and feed gut bacteria with prebiotic fiber. Safety-wise, beans are pressure cooked at high heat, 240 degrees Fahrenheit or higher, during canning. That sterilizes the food and makes it shelf-stable for years. Unlike deli meats or salads that can harbor listeria in the fridge, canned beans come out of the retort process essentially sterile. As long as the can is intact, no bulges, leaks, or deep dents, the risk of botulism is practically zero. The main drawback is sodium. Some brands pack over 400 milligrams per half cup. But the fix is easy. Rinse under running water for 10 to 30 seconds. Studies show that quick rinse can cut sodium by up to 40%. No salt added, and BPA-NE not intentionally added, cans are even better choices. Yes, beans may cause a little gas at first, but your body adjusts. The benefits, lower cholesterol, better digestion, steadier energy, are worth it. Among all the cans on the shelf, beans are the rare bargain that truly gives more than it takes. Safe choice number 2, canned tomatoes. Among all the cans in the grocery aisle, tomatoes are the rare case where processing actually makes them safer and healthier. Pop the lid and you'll hear that sharp hiss, followed by a tangy aroma that's more signal of safety than danger. Tomatoes are naturally high acid, which keeps their pH below the threshold where Clostridium botulinum can grow. Pair that with industrial retort processing, sealed cans blasted above 240 degrees, and you've got one of the most reliable defenses against botulism. Unlike spinach or chili, this is one can you don't need to fear as long as it's intact and undamaged. Nutritionally, canned tomatoes bring more to the table than fresh. Heating breaks down cell walls, making lycopene, the antioxidant pigment that gives tomatoes their red color, more bioavailable. Studies show you actually absorb more lycopene from canned sauce or paste than from raw slices. Add a drizzle of olive oil when cooking, and absorption climbs even higher, giving older hearts and immune systems the boost they need. The biggest concern is sodium. Some brands load cans with added salt. The solution? Look for no salt added versions and season to taste at home. These carry legally defined labels. Low sodium means 140 milligrams or less per serving. Very low sodium means 35 milligrams or less. Reading the nutrition box is key. And what about the lining? Most tomato cans today are labeled BPA-free or BPA not intentionally added. While no packaging is perfect, the acidic nature of tomatoes actually force companies to move away from the worst coatings earlier than with other foods. Store them in a cool pantry, not a hot garage, and risk drops even further. Canned tomatoes aren't just safe, they're one of the smartest pantry staples for flavor, health, and value. So here's the bottom line. Not all cans are created equal. We've just pulled back the curtain on 7 of the most dangerous canned foods lurking in American pantries. Vienna sausages, tuna, soups, chili, fruit and syrup, spinach, and pasta. Each one carries its own hidden traps: sodium bombs, sneaky potassium swaps, BPA linings, heavy metals, or even the silent threat of botulism. For older adults managing blood pressure, kidney disease, or heart issues, these aren't minor inconveniences. They're risks that can turn a cheap meal into a hospital bill. But not every can is your enemy. Canned beans and canned tomatoes prove that shelf-stable doesn't have to mean unsafe. With a quick rinse, beans deliver affordable protein, fiber, and heart-friendly nutrients. Tomatoes, with their natural acidity, block bacteria while boosting antioxidant power. Both are cheap, versatile, and safe if you choose wisely. The lesson? Don't let nostalgia or a bargain price blind you to what's really inside the can. Read labels, watch sodium, avoid chemical traps, and lean on the few canned foods that actually support your health. If this breakdown opened your eyes, hit that like button so more people can protect their pantries. And subscribe so you'll never miss the next food hidden danger. Most importantly, tell us in the comments, which of these 7 cans is still sitting in your pantry right now? Your answer might just help someone else think twice before opening their next can.